Hi, my name is Lena Hipp. I'm a social scientist and I work at the WZB Berlin Social Science Center, where I'm heading the research group Work and Care. I remember quite well when the Berlin Wall was falling. I was 12 and at home with my siblings and my parents, and I was really mad. I had to try to convince my parents to go for a fall vacation with all kids to Berlin, and if I had been successful in convincing them, we would have been in Berlin in the evening of November 9th. When I was a girl, I wanted to become a ballet dancer and I wanted to be a mother, and ideally a stay-at-home mother. So luckily, both careers didn't work out and I'm quite happy where I stand today. So my research focuses a lot on the maternal wall. Like other architectural idioms that we use to describe women's labor market disadvantages, the maternal wall refers to the fact that women, in particular once they become mother, encounter severe labor market disadvantages. So my big worry was, and I was not the only one having this worry, when the lockdowns in response to the COVID-19 outbreak in Germany took place, was whether we would see a rise of this maternal wall. And therefore, we decided that we have to ask people how they were doing. So we launched an online survey asking men and women, in particular working age men and women, about their working lives. And we closely tracked them over 3 time points. So in our survey, we ask a lot of questions about people's working life, people's family life, and also how satisfied and happy they were. For one, we found that the difference of how happy people were with their jobs and also with their life in general, that there was no big difference between parents and non-parents and genders. However, parents, in particular at the outset of the pandemic, were less happy with their working life than non-parents. And this difference, however, became smaller again over time. So here you are in the pre-pandemic phase. Here we are in March, April, so at the outset when the lockdowns were really severe. After a short adaptation period, things got a little better and we are close to where we were before the pandemic. Mothers, however, reported even slightly worse satisfaction levels than fathers. And this recovery effect wasn't as strong for mothers as it was for fathers. So GitHub data exists for many countries, and with automated recognition of first names, we could see whose account is from a woman and whose account is from a man. And based on the data that are available on GitHub, we could make a prediction of how productive men and women would have been if the COVID-19 pandemic had not been taking place. So let's say that's the prediction for women and that's the prediction for men. So the pattern that we observe in many countries is that men's productivity, so actual productivity, grew much more than predicted if the COVID-19 pandemic had not happened, but that women's productivity either followed the predicted pattern or even decreased. Paid and unpaid work has been divided very unequally in Germany, but it has only now been in the Corona pandemic that we have increasingly talked about this, and I think this is really important. And having data, and I also have to say our data are by no means perfect, but having data that has been collected by us as well as by others is really helpful to create measures that help people to combine work and family life. And this is important these days, but it has always been important. And therefore, I think we can make a contribution with research to make the world of work a little better for everyone. So, of course, whenever you do research, there's probably more questions that remain open than you actually answer. And the question that we still have opened and that still needs to be answered is how things will go on. So, what will happen in the winter if there's probably more lockdowns, local lockdowns, schools and childcare are closed again? What happens to people who have lost their job due to the pandemic?